What's up, everyone? We have some very exciting earnings on the schedule. In today's video, we're going to go over some of the most important stocks for this week, some big news you definitely want to know about, and of course, some awesome plays for tomorrow. We have some pretty great setups, we have some very exciting earnings, and we have definitely big news that you won't want to miss. So make sure to stick with us all the way to the end. But Tom, we're not going to waste any time today. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike. So pretty much today, the S&P 500 was insane. We actually started trading off to the downside after having a pretty good morning overall. I will say SCHW was a pretty big report this morning. It ended up not going as good as people thought initially. And then whenever the market opened, it ripped right back up and sent the rest of the banks kind of flying up with it. Look at Bank of America today. From that initial move down at open, we ended up recovering throughout the whole entire trading day. Even WFC was on fire as well. Citigroup didn't do as well, so it was a little bit mixed across the board. And looking at the heat map, Mike, the banks definitely carried things today. Look at how the oil stocks were down. Some of these big tech stocks like Google were down as they had some crazy news with Samsung that we'll get into in a minute. But man, Mike, that was crazy to see the banks really hold us up today. I will say, looking at the calendar for tomorrow, there isn't really too much, but there is some Chinese data coming out tonight that could affect China stocks in a big, big way. We're going to get Chinese GDP numbers tonight, which is huge considering they're one of the biggest economies in the world, and they definitely affect us a lot as well.
Yeah, and those China stocks move in a very, very crazy way. Stocks like BABA, BIDU, NIO, YMM, PDD, there's a bunch of them, and they all move in very crazy ways. So definitely expect some volatility out of those tomorrow. But Tom, you just touched on those bank stocks and how they literally just carried the market today. If we look intraday at a stock like Bank of America, just like you said, it dipped down right at open, but there was just like an unlimited amount of buyers all day long into Bank of America, but a lot of other bank stocks. If this does not set the tone for bank stocks, I don't know what will. Literally, they tried to sell off this morning, but there was just like an overwhelming amount of buyers. And even if we look on like a daily chart of whether it be Bank of America or honestly any other bank related stock, you can see that just a couple months ago, or just a couple weeks slash 1 to 2 months ago, bank stocks were like the most negative effect on the entire stock market, right? There was a huge risk to the market overall with the way these bank stocks were falling, and now we have them carrying the market. So very interesting. A lot of them reported earnings, and the market definitely likes these earnings reports. And I wouldn't even say all these earnings reports are necessarily that great either. I think they were just better than feared.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the big things right now because the economy's been so crazy and inflation's been so high that people were expecting a lot of these earnings to be bad. If we actually go to the article from yesterday, a lot of people were expecting these S&P 500 companies to have profits falling a lot, obviously. Now, sales have been doing good, but like we talked about, Mike, a lot of those margins have been terrible. Like, look at the blue line there for the margin estimates. That's very, very low down there at the bottom, but you can see sales estimates are actually high. So interesting on that front. And talking about the earnings. So Bank of America and Goldman are the big bank stocks reporting tomorrow. I'm a little bit worried, Mike, that maybe this price action is already priced in on a couple of those banks. But whenever I went and looked at the daily chart of Bank of America, I feel like there's just so much room because of that big drop recently. So I definitely feel like that this could be good for the banks tomorrow. And talking about earnings, there's even more besides the banks. Johnson & Johnson and Lockheed report in the morning as well, and Netflix and after hours. I know a ton of people are going to be looking at Netflix. Man, that's going to be a huge report. It's going to affect Disney and a ton of other tech stocks as well, probably.
Exactly. Netflix is the earnings stock to watch tomorrow. They almost always move in a crazy way. The stock has been amazing over the past couple months. And just like Tom said, this earnings report will not just affect Netflix, but, Disney and a lot of other stocks like WBD and like PARA as well, as, Netflix is into, streaming and all that good stuff. Obviously Disney Plus is connected to that. Paramount Plus is connected to that. And then WBD as well. So like with HBO and all that good stuff. So it'll definitely be a pretty big report.
Yeah, it will. And then even United Airlines and after hours there. So, hey, let me know in the comments if you guys are going to play Netflix or any of these other earnings for the rest of the week. Honestly, I don't really recommend it, Mike. It's pretty risky to play some of these, but hey, if you end up picking the right direction on Netflix, it could end up paying off. Just, make sure you obviously look at the risk and make sure that you don't, go in it too deep, obviously, on some of these gamble plays.
Oh, you know it. And then we can't forget about earnings on Wednesday, Tom. Tesla, the behemoth, is set to report after close. Everyone is going to be watching this one. So Netflix and Tesla will definitely be the most exciting earnings releases of the week, at least to me. But yeah, Tesla actually held up decently today. Honestly, there wasn't any like jaw-dropping price action with it, but like a 1% move after that pretty big drop from open isn't too bad.
Yeah, it was really good. And, I know Tesla didn't do as well as some of the other EV stocks, even. Like, look at NIO in the China sector. This one exploded. We also had Enphase, which is obviously a solar stock. It's not an EV stock, but look at them exploding today as well. ChargePoint, which is an EV charging stock, did well. Tesla was actually lagging behind, in my opinion, Mike. Even Rivian had a pretty big intraday move at open. So it was pretty crazy to see Tesla lag in there, but that's definitely going to be a big report. And I know a lot of people are worried about Tesla's numbers. Like they've been having pretty good sales throughout this quarter so far, or throughout the first quarter of the year. But I'm curious to see if maybe those margins start to get better or worse. Because man, it just seems like they keep cutting the prices of their cars and everything. It just doesn't sound like good news.
Exactly. So it'll definitely be interesting. What I guess is kind of a good sign is that so far, earnings season is off to the best start in a decade. So that's a pretty bold title, but I will say it's not all that it seems. So basically, first quarter earnings have been pretty good so far, and 90% of the S&P 500 earnings so far have beat on earnings per share estimates, and 73% of the earnings so far have beat on sales. But here's where the article isn't what it seems. This is only looking at the 30 S&P 500 companies that reported yet, right? 30 companies out of the S&P 500, 500 companies, that's 6%. So, while it's good data so far, the sample size is just too small to be, too small to celebrate just yet.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the stocks that reported so far have been financial stocks. As we know, a lot of the big banks have reported. There's been a couple other companies, of course, but, so far we haven't had anything big like Tesla or Netflix or anything crazy like that. So I guess as we go through the season, we'll see how it goes. But that's great to hear. Even if it's just the 35 or 30 S&P 500 companies already and 73% of them beat on sales, that's still great numbers. And I'm still blown away by these banks, Mike. Like with all the turmoil going on lately, I was expecting some of these banks to do way worse than they're doing. So it's amazing to see them flying up as much as they are. And I think that the surprise is help fuel some of this price action because it's been, really ripping over the past few days. Like some of these breakouts are getting to be pretty insane.
Love to see it. Now, Tom, speaking of breakouts and great price action, let's get right into some setups for tomorrow. So I actually talked about this stock, I want to say last week, and it is CRSP. So basically on March 27th, we talked about a big money play on this stock worth around $1.2 million into calls. So let's head over to that daily chart to show exactly what we're talking about. Basically, CRSP has been booming over like the past couple of trading days. The big money bought the 45 strike call options that expire on July 21st of 2023. And they put $1.2 million into this trade. I think the setup is still great. Even though it's been booming over the past couple days, I think it has a lot more room to go higher. And this type of just price action is really awesome. So over the next couple days, and honestly, over the next couple weeks and months, I'm going to be looking at CRSP in a bullish way.
Yeah, I will say, Mike, this one has really started to blast off. And look at this all the way down here, right where this green arrow's pointing. is pretty much right around where this was called out right there on March 27th in the blue circle. So to see it up where it is now is a pretty big move. So keep CRSP on the radar. That's a lot of money, Mike, 1.2 million, and they still have it for July. So pretty good to see that. Hopefully this stock keeps ripping up in the way it has been, because those have been some pretty extensive moves to the upside there. You know, I've been looking at Disney a lot above $100, and it seems like right now today, it started to get a lot of momentum back up with the S&P 500, and I love that $100 level here. So if we continue to hold 100 and stay above it, I'm going to watch Disney tomorrow for some more calls, and even over the next few days. I think it could even be a good potential swing. And if we go out to that daily chart, they're also very low, just like a lot of these other stocks have been recently.
Good stuff. Now, Tom, this second setup of mine is definitely going to surprise a lot of people, especially after the comments I made on this stock around a year ago. It is BBBY, okay? Bed Bath & Beyond. In August of 2022, this stock was ripping to the upside, and I straight up said, I'm like, I don't like the setup, right? At the time, the stock was, maybe $40, maybe like $48 a share. And guess what happened? The stock fell off the face of the earth. It literally fell from like $48 or even higher down to its current price of 30 cents. Literally. So now I'm actually to the point where I actually do see some opportunity with this stock. I would never hold this long term, but for a short term trade, I'm definitely open to it. There is some very awesome volume with this stock right now. The intraday price action has been really great, and I like the overall risk reward ratio. Like I said, right now the stock's right around 30 cents per share. It is a high risk, high reward play, but just given the overall setup and especially how much volume is just flowing into the stock, I do like it for an upside play. And like I said, this is for the short term. It is not a long term type of setup.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like JC Penney, whenever they were starting to go under, they were having some pretty bad price action as well. But even though they obviously ended up going under after a multitude of years, they ended up trading low for a while, and you'd see big jumps to the upside and the downside continually. So I think this could be great for BBBY here. Looks like they're flying up with those earnings, Mike. And if they continue, this could be a crazy runner. What was it up today, Mike? 17%. Like, oh my gosh. This could be an awesome stock, and I hate to say it, Mike, but Bed Bath & Beyond has become a penny stock now. That's pretty crazy to say.
Yeah, it is a crazy stock, and Bed Bath & Beyond didn't even report earnings yet. Looking at the chart, like no one's giving a real earnings date for this stock. That's how bad it is. So right now I am seeing some estimates for earnings to come out on April 19th before market open, but every data source is given a different date. But either way, it should be a fun stock to watch over the next couple days.
Yeah, definitely will. That's a big move there, up 17%. So keep it on the radar. And Mike, I will say I am very surprised that you called that one out. But going over to Wells Fargo here, that's going to be my second play of the day. So they ran right up to after hours highs from Friday. I thought this was, or actually pre-market highs from Friday, excuse me. That's actually an amazing move here. If we can break above that around 41.50, and we see Bank of America and Goldman killing it tomorrow morning, Wells Fargo should be another prime bank stock set to fly. I mean, look at it already. They've been flying up into earnings. They're flying after the earnings were reported. And hey, if some of these other earnings go well, they should get quite the move.
All right, there we go. Well, Tom, it is now time for the momentum plays. With today's first one, we have another bank stock, and that is Schwab, SCHW to the upside.
SCHW, I will say this one was very weird today, how they fell down and then recovered, but I love this big resistance here right at 52.80. So if they break above 52.80, watch for some calls. They've had 3 awesome hits there the past few days.
Boom. With the next one, we have Shopify, SHOP to the upside.
Good old Shopify. They actually just broke last Wednesday's high here today. So if they end up breaking tomorrow out above 49.50, watch for a move up. Be a little careful of $50 as they start to rise, but hey, that's an awesome move today. Hopefully we get a big push up above 50 sometime soon.
Here we go. And with the last one, we have Roblox, and this is actually to the downside. They released an update today, and their bookings haven't been too good, so it fell 12%.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even hear about this one today. Down 12%, Mike. That's terrible. If they end up falling under $39 even, go ahead and watch for some puts. They're sitting here right around 39 to 40. So if they break under 39, that could be a pretty good continuation.
There we go. So we have that downside level on Roblox. If it breaks below that, we're looking at it for a day trade down tomorrow. And then don't forget about the upside levels on Shopify and Schwab, SCHW. If they break above those levels, we'll look at them for a day trade up. But it is now time for the big money trade of the day. This one's pretty crazy, and it is something that is not common for us to cover in a video like this. It is $560,000 going into TME, right? So this is the Tencent Music Entertainment Group, and it is the 17 strike calls that expire on January 19th of 2024. Right now the stock's at $8. So assuming the big money is buying these call options, this is an extremely bullish bet. To me, this looks like a giant gamble where the big money is like, I'm just going to buy a good amount of time. I'm going to go far out of the money, and this play is either going to be a home run or it's going to zero. Either way, it is very risky. And what I guess is a good thing, Tom, was the good price action today, as well as the GDP data coming out of China. So, maybe if that data is great, or maybe if they have good earnings over the next couple weeks, maybe it can have some crazy movement.
Yeah, it really could. I'll say that data tomorrow or tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time should be pretty big. So just keep your eyes on the headlines later tonight. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy price action over on the Chinese markets. And, some of these other stocks trade over there. So we'll probably see some pretty big gap ups or gap downs come tomorrow. And I think TME would be one that definitely gets some pretty big moves. And if China reports good numbers, that would be amazing, Mike. And maybe they already have some information on those numbers, or maybe they're analysts looking at China and they're, making a bet on those numbers coming in good. But I like the play. It is a longer term play though. They do have it out to January 19th, but man, TME's been on quite the run. It has been dipping down a little bit recently, but it kind of seems like it's, back on the uptrend here after that recent dip.
Yeah, exactly. The price action has actually been pretty solid. So keep it on your watch list over the next couple weeks and maybe even the next couple days, especially with this big data set to come out of China. It's definitely a very uncommon type of trade. But Tom, for tomorrow, we got some big earnings. We have some good movement, especially out of these bank stocks. Some of these EVs are moving in a big way, like NIO. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you're watching going into tomorrow?
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy day. I still can't believe you called out BBBY. That led my watch list today up 17%. I am going to watch XPEV, which is a very close second, up 15%. It's a China EV stock. For anybody who doesn't know, look them up. It's a very interesting one. I think this could possibly be a big runner with that Chinese data coming out as well. But it was just a very bullish day overall, Mike. A lot of big movement. I think some of these banks are going to be extremely fun in the morning. And just don't forget to screenshot the earnings calendar if you guys want to see it. It's awesome. Also, check out Earnings Whispers. Shout out to them for always putting out these amazing charts, Mike. They're fantastic.
There we go. If you guys like the video, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. Last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, and that is Boudica in the Stocked Up Discord. You've been in the chat for around 2 months, and you've been pretty active. So definitely keep up that activity and keep asking great questions. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's have an amazing week.